I'll introduce myself. I'm Randy Stiles. I'm with Information Incorporated, and we've been in business about 2 years now. Our mission is to enable personal informatics, and personal informatics is usually referred to as a heartbeat rate or my runs and so on, but I'm talking about informatics in the full scope. If you are familiar with bioinformatics and you are familiar with the information management that goes on there, well, imagine it for an individual person. Anybody who's read Pedro Domingo and the Master Algorithm knows where things are going in a general sense, and people's personal information is something they will want to manage, and it starts with analysis. Okay, so the real problem that we're addressing is called analysis paralysis on a personal level. So if you want to solve a problem for yourself, now if you're a company, but for yourself, like you're trying to decide what to invest in or buy a car, you're doing ongoing analysis. And there's a real wide range of garbage out there. The signal-to-noise ratio is horrible. But more importantly, there's not a decent way to organize it. You're doing something called the observe, organize, decide, and act loop. And people don't really realize that's what they're doing, but that is what they're doing. So our solution combines artificial intelligence and augmented reality for personal informatics. And the first part of that is called Loci. And the tagline that we use is link in your mind. And this tool does mind mapping in 3D and is meant to expand into search in 3D after that. But currently it does, the MVP version of this does mind mapping in 3D with locations. And I'll talk more about how the locations are important to a person and their informatics in a minute. But the first most important thing in this solution is it improves recall. Not everybody's going to wear a pair of HoloLens or other systems on their head all the time. But they are going to return to these problems because they're ongoing analysis problems. They'll return to them, use them with better recall and perception, and then they'll actually be able to recall them without the HoloLens. So the actual use of this system to work on your own problems is something that has an impact outside of your use of the augmented reality. And to back that up, the method of loci, which we use, and I'll explain that in a minute, the method of loci is a 2,500-year-old method for memory. It's known as the memory palace. And you actually place things in locations in a house in your memory and then recall them when you need to draw on them, like when you're giving a talk. So from ancient Greek times to Cicero in Rome, when he's giving his speech, he'd be walking through a memory palace and giving his speech. And Cicero's School of Rhetoric used this. So fast forward to 2017 at Stanford University, and there is a study on MRI imaging by the FIND lab, and they find, also with the Max Planck Institute for Psychology, they find that the method of loci really does change your brain's connections. You really are linking in your mind. And they compared the MRI results after doing a control group that did nothing but the memory tests, a control group with another memory system, and then method of loci. And the method of loci was 20% more effective in testing 24 hours later, 20 minutes later, and 4 months later. And they did baseline MRIs of people, and people's brain connectome, the connections had changed over 4 months, and they remained that way. And they came more to configure MRI scans of real memory athletes. So this methodology works. And for the first time, not just in your brain, in your own mind, you can actually make a method of loci graph, mind map graph, to share with other people and work as a team to enhance your memory. So here's a little bit of how it works in a 1 minute, 3 times video. There's force-directed layout. You can place things there. It's a full editor. Again, this is the front-end client. We're working on the back-end server for search. It's a new form of search also. If you're going to break your problem down, Say you're searching for a vehicle to buy, any big investment you do analysis for. Like just investing in companies, you will do some background analysis on it if you're serious. So another thing we don't show here, we've also loaded in the Crunchbase database, which curiously enough is a graph. If you look and scrape the surface of many things, they're graphs. Microsoft graph, Facebook graph, LinkedIn graph. All these data structures are used for algorithms and search, and they're also part of a person's personal informatics. That's how things are going to shape up, because that's how people understand data, and that's how they link in their mind. Thank you.
Do you want to stand up there for questions since we have some extra time? And
sure.
You can use that to your advantage. Cool.
Are there any questions? That's the bad thing to ask, but I'll ask it anyways. So I wasn't here earlier for the background on folks. If you do have a question, if you state what you do and what group you're from, that'd be helpful. Okay. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So can you talk about who are your customers? How are they using it?
Our customers, we're directed at consumers, and we're directed at the general consumer using a headset. The HoloLens is only sold to like 22,000 people. It's very expensive. It's $3,000. Our system is built on Unity and will expand to other platforms, but the HoloLens is the first instance of a really good spatial mapping system. It beats all the others in that regard right now. HoloLens is coming out, Microsoft is coming out with consumer level $300 headsets that Acer and Dell and Lenovo and all those folks are selling starting in September of this year. And they're also coming out with this kind of system on the Xbox. So our consumers will be people who have been growing up gaming and who understand 3D really well, and may even have a PC or an Xbox, and they have life decisions to make. Where am I going to college? What am I going to invest in? All these things as they grow up that they're going to do. Yes, I'm raising funds, seed funds, and I'm looking to initially raise $500,000 in seed funds. So I've been funding this myself. A little over $100,000 in pure trackable salary, but as you can imagine, much more than that myself. I didn't give much of my background. There are some slides in there for that, but I worked 25 years as a senior staff research scientist for Lockheed Martin in Palo Alto, and during that time I led DARPA programs, Office of Naval Research programs as a principal investigator in virtual environments. Same with DARPA, and for the intelligence community, what used to be called IARTA is now called IARPA, and we did geospatial visualization in augmented reality. I helped fund Mark Billinghurst's PhD efforts when he was involved in augmented reality at University of Washington, AR Toolkit. Yes, in the back?
The more people rely on spatial visualization programs like this, do you think that there's potential for a diminishing ability for people to make decisions without it? Like, do you think that this could in turn handicap people?
There was a nice thing, they used to, I guess, at least I believe and I've heard at Microsoft, they used to call their HoloLens project Screen Zero. In other words, it was a display for everything and an infinite display. Yes, I think people will be at disadvantage later if they're just using like 3 screens or 6 screens like an investment broker or a trader. They will not have enough information. And from my studies as a scientist in psychology and so on, the larger the display of information, the better off you are. That's just a maxim. Any other questions?
I think the last one, how big is your team?
2 people.
Cool.
Right now, we're looking to add another third person, but I'm kind of, we run out of a garage and I'm kind of squeaky tight right now. My brother and myself. My brother's the COO and I'm the CEO.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
359, if you want to come by and see it.